So please take your seats.
We will start with a video from the Olympics.
So happy to have you all relaxed and strong after a good lunch back here. And we all need this strength for the next couple of hours because we have to continue to go through important decisions. But before we moved on in our agenda, a short video from Olympic Games.
Germans are doing. Germany to do it, and the others I think have faded. We are underway. And they have the lead. Carrington and Hoskin there. And Gasso are very much involved as well, but it is going to be another goal back-to-back. Tokyo and now Paris for Carrington and Hoskin. The Kiwis do it. Sensational sprint there from Kieras. Oh, he's coming up. Martin Fuchser, the world's best time holder. Kieras comes through spectacularly for the silver.
So thank you, and let's move on with topic 15, other statutes proposals. And again, stage is yours. Daniel.
I love this. Good afternoon and welcome back. My next topic is statute proposals that are not linked to the Hungary seat. So these are the ones that have been proposed by national federations and or the board. We have 4 proposals that we'll quickly go through. Then I will just go through generally about the bylaws that have been amended for your information. And then at the very end, under our new under governance, we need to then adopt all the statutes, everything that we've done as a change as one resolution at the very end of that. So hopefully it won't take too long. Any questions before we start? No, all good? Excellent. So the first proposal is from the ICF board, and it's really a definition change. The wording tended to make it sound like we were meeting for the rule changes for every election Congress, because it was we had it in the Olympiad, when actually if we put in during that we hold we hold the Congress that has the fees and rules in it every third year of the Olympiad, given that the first year of the Olympiad is actually this year. And I think which means then it means it's on every off year to the elections. I don't think I've explained that very well, but it just means that not this Congress, but next Congress is the one where we make the fees and the rules as technical Congress, and it's just to make it clearer in the rules. And it's clear if you realise that the Olympiad starts this year, not next year. So we're in year 1. Make sense? Any questions? I shouldn't have had that wine for lunch, should I? I didn't, I promise. The next one is Article 21, and it's a new subsection. In the rules that we've just gone through, the statutes that we've just gone through, we've deleted what is currently in the statutes at 21.5. And this one's just a clarification of dates. So it was requested that for when we're doing appendices for the rule changes, this one now clarifies the dates in which they can be done. Any questions? No? Great. The next one is the Finance Commission definition. You've heard today that we have the Finance Commission's been working quite hard, and Marie Burnett chairs that Finance Commission. We wanted to just make it clear with the Treasurer that the Treasurer is not the chair of the Finance Commission, because we have a panel of experts in that space, and that the Treasurer is a member of the Finance Commission, and the Board of Directors are the people that select the chair and the members of the Finance Commission outside of the Treasurer. So it's just to clarify the Treasurer's role in the Finance Commission. Any questions? Great. And then the next one, which is our final one, is from the from Great Britain, and it's around the Medical Commission. We currently, I think, have 4 members per committee, and the Medical Commission is asking to have 5 members, being 2 doctors and 2 experts, because they feel that they need to have not only doctors' expertise, but they also need to be able to bring in qualified people to assist with some of the projects that they've got on hand. Any questions on those ones? Excellent. All right, so the resolution, which will be number 11, is that the Congress hereby adopts further amendments to the statutes with immediate effect after Congress as presented, and they're the article ones that I've just gone through. Good to vote?
You can open the voting, please. Can you flip to the question? There we go. Okay, we have 76 votes. Anyone struggling after lunch to get their votes in? No, everyone seems to have the system working. Back to 77. Okay, we can close the voting. Thank you. Okay, fairly conclusive result again. 94.8%, 73 votes out of 77.
Okay.
Thank you. You can carry on.
Just moving on now to the bylaw modifications. As I said earlier at the beginning, the bylaws are adopted by the Board of Directors and not by Congress. You'll find a link to all the bylaws on the Congress webpage, and they'll be on the ICF webpage later on. Basically, there were 3 types of modifications that we did, and one was around the relocation of the ICF headquarters in Hungary. The second one was a change for the bidding process to align with our strategic plan Fit for Future. And the third one was just clarification of some wording within the bylaws. So they're the three main changes, but please have a look at your leisure. And finally, what we have to do now is we have to approve all of the updated statutes in their entirety. So the resolution is that Congress hereby approves the considered consolidated text of the statutes incorporating all amendments made to date. The consolidated document shall form an integral part of the resolution as an annex. So if you're happy with that?
Any questions? No? Okay. We can move to the vote, and please open the voting. Okay, we're still missing. Okay, we can close the votes. Thank you. Okay, again, 77 votes yes, 1 abstention, so 98.7, so the resolution is passed. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much. I'll be back for rules later on.
Thank you to lead us so smoothly through this process. And now we can move ahead to with 17. Approval of updated statute, it's done. 18. Proposals submitted by National Federation. So, motion 1. Can you justify maybe your motion and the way how we can continue? Christian, where are you? Is it possible that you will speak for Nordic countries who submit this?
Thank you. Christian Jacobsen, Danish Canoe Federation, speaking on behalf of Danish, Swedish, Norwegian and Finnish Canoe Federation. We feel it's a good time to look a bit further into the governance situation of the ICF, and therefore we submitted this motion some month ago. At this point, giving the presentation by the President and the Secretary General early on today, I think this item is covered in the plans laid out, so we are happy to withdraw the motion as long as we keep seeing progress that are laid out.
Thank you, Christian. Maybe that's the right time to explain you one of the projects in the case that we will be re-elected, which we will announce tomorrow. I think it's time from a very strong position where we are, without any doubt, to start an organization review. That means not only to review our statutes, but also our structures, our procedures, our policies. And we want to propose that we use the next 2 years to start exactly this process and of course include all these proposals coming now here from the Nordic countries, from Slovakia. And furthermore, we want to encourage you all to send us your ideas, what we have to discuss, and what must be on the test, which matters must be discussed and possible changed to make us still really fit for future. That's the idea we want to present to you, and the timeline looks that we will open this process after our Congress. We want to select your comments, proposals, matters, and ask you to submit it to the ICF headquarters. Then in February, we want to allocate the different topics which we want to discuss and review to headlines, and then we want to appoint working groups consist of stakeholders from across the world, experts in this special area, and then we can start the work to review and can finally, hopefully, submit motions about changes in policy, structure, governance, and statutes to the next Technical Congress 2026. Is that okay for you? And thank you for withdrawing your motion. Or motions. So you withdraw all motions, yeah? Then let's move to the reports of our discipline shares. And let's start with the famous Toshi.
Thank you, Mr. President Thomas. Dear delegates, and first of all, thank you very much for your support and cooperation to our Canoe Sprint Committee. Thanks to your great support and cooperation, we have successfully organized many competitions and projects under the ICF Fit for Future concept. Towards Paris 2024, we also worked closely with each continental federation, especially to organize continental qualifications. I would like to express my thanks to continental federations. In Paris 2024, we had 50 countries, including new 3 NOCs to the Games, and 3 refugee athletes. Canoe Sprint gold medal went to 4 continents. Canoe Sprint discipline has become more universal sports, and amazing high performance by the athlete were delivered to more than 12,000 spectators in stadium, in the venue, every day. Maximum number of the spectators was more than 22,000. And of course, to the people all over the world through televisions and new devices. We had very good communication with Paris 2024 organizing committee. Mr. Cyril, he is here, and Canoe Sports manager and his teams worked hard day and night to create best conditions in the field of play and express our beautiful sports to the world in the most splendid stage. Thank you, Cyril. The ICF became first 5 international sports federations to achieve the gender equity in the number of the ITO in the Olympic Games. We are the top 5. After COVID, we started seminar and examination of the ITOs. We are very happy to have many applicants from 5 continents. This is a picture of the applicants. The ICF appointed more than 130 ITOs from 45 national federations in the 7 ICF major events this year. Under the motto of gender equity, many ITOs across continents and generations worked very hard. I would like to express My thanks to Vice President Cecilia for this. For us, the most important task is to keep showing and attractive our discipline to the world and to organize the fair and excellent competitions for athletes, national federations, and our stakeholders. To achieve these objectives, we made a working group in our committee. 5K races with portage and to have mixed 5K relay are the example of our new trials. Thank you for your cooperation to our new challenges. Our committee is also working closely with working group to create a new Olympic qualification system led by Vice President Ruiz. Mr. Ruiz will have a presentation about it later. Towards Area 28, the ICF applied 2 additional 5K events in canoe sprint discipline to the IOC. It's not easy to get the 2 additional events, but President Thomas and Secretary General Richard are communicating very well with the IOC. Canoe sprint has a long and great traditions. It's very important for us to make new challenges while respecting our great traditions. We'd like to work with you continuously to achieve our goals. It's very important to keep the good communication with your national federations. Imagination should be used to create. Finally, I would like to express my huge thanks to Barint and David and all the staffs, ICF staffs, for their great support to our committee. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Toshi. Any questions to the chair of our sprint committee? That's not the case, Toshi. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
So another historic moment right now. The outgoing chairman, our friend, developer of our beloved sport, Canoe Slalom, Jean-Michel, has his last performance, at least on this stage. Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Thomas. Dear delegate, it's with a lot of pleasure, but also emotion, that I'm facing you today, this afternoon, for my last time in my role of technical committee chair. I have only 5 minutes. It's a very short time to give a review of the 2 last seasons, but I will try to achieve it. The slide, I'm managing the slide. Okay. The list, it's a list where names are put, as ever, but I just want not to read the list, you know them, but just to highlight that this group of people, plus several others that I will nominate later, this group of people have made possible the great achievement of this Olympic cycle, and more from the previous Olympic cycle too. So a name list is important, but the activity, the quality, the support of this committee has been for me extremely precious. I was lucky to have this group of people with me. I want to add to this group of advisor and committee member, obviously the staff of the ICF, with a special mention to Thomas Rosset, who jumped in the task right after the game, and in 2 years have been extremely supportive, not only to the slalom committee, but all Wildwater discipline. Thank you, Thomas. I wish you all the best for the rest of your tenure in the ICF. Sorry. The 2 last season, 23-24, obviously I could not ignore the Paris 2024 Olympic Games success. You have been there, most of you. You have enjoyed the atmosphere. And it was, for me, the last but definitely my best game as a responsible of the discipline. And it was for me a great honor to chair and to officiate with the group of people. And frankly speaking, it's a good achievement for the community and not only for the organizing committee and the technical committee. Lee Valley World Championships 2023, a major event, global qualification. This season, the junior under 23, which was participated by more than 450 athletes starting. It's our major event, and it's a very good thing to have such important event in the Olympic year, knowing that we have no World Championships, but for the youth and the future of the discipline, it's very encouraging to have such successful event, so well organized by our friend of Slovakia and Mikuláš organizing committee. Furthermore, 5 World Cups per year, as ever, I would say, 2 in the late season, 3 early season, and we are looking to develop this scheme, hopefully, abroad and not only on the European continent. We had also to run and successfully deliver 5 Olympic qualifiers, one of them being the European Games. Activity of the ICF ranking competition, a very key element of the promotion of slalom. 18 competitions have been organized on the top of the continental championships and World Cup. So it's a very busy calendar, and we look to increase this one. Just for your information, for the next season, we already had 34 ICF ranking events on the calendar with a very good spread on the continent. So now we could start looking to the continental development, thanks to the continental organizer for that. We double almost the number of ICF ranking for the next season. I could not finish without mentioning the Hangzhou Super Cup, which was a first try, but such successful event. And for me, the most important that we have innovated, we have invited athletes, and they have enjoyed the competition. So it's a format we have to develop and push forward to showcase better our sport with a reduced and high-quality start field. Last but not least, the 4 in-person committee meeting, which is the core of the development and management of the activity, plus the numerous online meeting, obviously. Achievement. In terms of the global event, let's come back briefly to Paris. Paris was obviously for us, slalom community, the introduction of kayak cross, already mentioned in several reports. Successful. The qualification pathway, we achieved to have 32 NOC qualify at the Olympic Games. And just interesting statistic, 10 of these 32 NOC earn a medal at the Olympic Games. I guess this is a quite good ratio. And every time we had 4 continents in the final. Mentioning the final, I want to highlight this decision we made in the past to add 2 more spots in the final. People say, why you do that? And we did that to open more opportunity. And believe or not, 3 of the last qualified 11 or 12 position earn a medal at the Olympic Games. So it shows you how important it is to open a bit the door so we increase the turnover of medalists and continental-wise as NOC-wise. Mentioning the spectator experience, first of all, we remember Paris, where we have been filling the stands, the amphitheater, 90 to 95% during the 9 days of competition, plus the atmosphere coming with this presence. I want also to mention Augsburg, the World Championships 2022, which was also a very great experience. Why? Because when the organizer promote the event, we could achieve a very good experience for spectators, which give a different taste for the competitors too. Canoe slalom, at the Continental Game. We are now in 4 of the 5 Continental Games, knowing that Africa is willing recently to reboot the Continental Games, so let's see if we could be part of the program in the Africa too. This is also very important to be in the Continental Game program because this is a way to inspire and create incentive for the African, Asian, American country to engage more with canoe slalom with a better funding. Moving to why mentioning the judging? You know, judging in slalom has been always a bit controversial. And I guess one of the balance we could make after a few mandates is that we have evolved the judging. It's still a question sometimes when people disagree with the judging. But I want just to highlight quickly that we have improved the judging by making the judging more accurate, introducing the smart penalty input. Everybody is used now to work with a phone, even during the competition in slalom. And this is the device you have on the picture. And this mobile judging terminal has been given a new chance for the high-quality judging. People are concentrated, transmitted immediately the penalty, and we amplify, we extend the capacity of covering the course. Just to let you know that one gaze is judged by an average of 4 gate judges during competition. And that's very important because this multiple observation lead us to have a possible check automatically run by the system. Every discrepancy between judging is logged in the system and allow us to review it on video. It's a detailed information, it's technical information, but it gives you the reason why we have more transparency and more accuracy in the judging process. The system allows us also to record and do judging data analysis. And I want just to give you an example during the World Championships 2023 where 20,000 gates have been negotiated. 20,000 gates negotiated, 4 judges per gate. It's 80,000 decisions made by the judges along the bank or in the OVR, on the results management. From these 80,000 decisions, 1% are reviewed automatically by spotting the discrepancy. 1%. And from this 1%, 0.16% lead to a change. So we have been told why you don't use electronic gate, why you don't use video judging. Because it shows, this statistic shows us that the human being observation, when it is well organized, well trained, well prepared, has an accuracy that none of the automatic system will give you. Because we are within the margin of error of any learning machine. So please appreciate. Achievement. World ranking. This is on the top of the agenda recently with the world ranking for support for the ICF Olympic qualification in the future. We have been introducing the world ranking in slalom in 2007, evolving it in 2013, once being a bit more robust. We introduced 5 best results to count for each athlete in an event to be ranked. And just for you to know, nowadays we have 2,708 exactly athletes ranked. And this over the 6 events, introducing kayak cross now for 2 years. And you have a view of how this is spread among the continent. We have 4 Oceania Federation rank. We have 31 European Federation rank in 24. We have 15 Asian Federation rank in slalom, 12 in America, and 10 in Africa. Mentioning that the 10 in Africa, unfortunately, nowadays are working mostly with the so-called diaspora of African Federation living in Europe or in the USA. But I think this is a good step forward, and we know that when a dual nationality athlete is competing, at some point, if it is well organized, it will bring an added value in their original country, and we are looking to this kind of support and promotion. I don't want to finish without mentioning the ITO selection. Every season, we have an average of 153 ITO proposed by the Federation. It's quite successful. These 153 ITOs proposed by the Federation, they are spreaded with 2 federations proposing from Oceania, 4 from America, 7 from Asia, and 21 from Europe. This is clearly a picture of the activity and how solid are the federations in different continents. This average, this total number of federations proposing ITOs is exactly the number of federations potentially or possibly qualified to the Olympic Games. So that's a very interesting relation. I don't want to finish the ITOs without mentioning that we still run program to educate and train. We use a lot now the online program, and for the practical component, we are working on the proper competition venue. So it's more accessible for the theoretical part by running online seminar and online examination, and then the next phase and validation of this ITO qualification is done on spot after reviewing and passing through all the positions of a competition. Last point, the course designer. Why the course designer are so important? And we have changed the way to work with the course designer. From a draw from coaches, we went to ITO selection with a coach background most of the time. But we established a pool and we work closer with them. We work often with them along the season, and we define a pool that will be going to the World Championships and Olympic Games. So teams are used to work with this course design philosophy. And on the other hand, for the official, we have a better cooperation when it comes to deliver the competition. The complicity, the complementarity of the work with the course design is extremely important. Mentioning also the TV production, we work closer with TV because we have people who are used to work with TV. So the strategic plan, allow me to not be very accurate here because I'm just looking to Richard in front of me, who will be my next colleague, or former colleague for me, but I think we will keep continuing working together, I hope. So I will be very light in the strategic plan, but only mention, and you know, Richard, how important it is for the committee in the past. We want to strengthen the pan-continental activity. Why we mention pan-continental? Because we believe that in many cases, associating 2 continents give an added value. We could have a foster program sometime in between one continent and another. Asia and Oceania definitely will have a benefit to work together. Pan-continent, we have already one. It's America, Pan-America. So we didn't associate. They have to work North, Central, and South America. It's already a pan-continent. And for what concerns Europe and Africa, I think we have to continue to create more link between Africa and Europe, because naturally this is where we have the history, and we believe this is a way to support and grow the activity in Africa. The second point I would like to mention and highlight is the increase of the accessibility of canoe, kayak, and especially kayak cross. Kayak cross has been extremely successful, but we have to make it simple to organize for the federation. It must be a tool for development. So from the Olympic format, we have to decline a version that makes everybody ready to engage with this format. Last but not least, sustainability. And for sustainability, it's a common topic for the ICF, but for what concerns slalom, and when we look at the pan-continental approach, I think we will have soon or late, but soon the best, to consider the equipment issue. the transport, the cost. So I would say that definitely slalom, the next revolution in slalom will be to consider what we could do with the equipment, how we could reduce the cost, how we could simplify the use of our equipment. That's all for the moment. I guess I've been more than 5 minutes. Thank you for your comprehension. This is the last time that I am exceeding. And again, thank you for the support of all the federation. You know how much we have enjoyed to work together. We'll stay around if you let me be there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jean-Michel. Thank you for excellent report. Thank you for your lifetime achievements. You have shaped this sport as no one else, and you will leave a legacy. So many unforgettable, emotional moments here during the days in Antalya. Nevertheless, now we have to continue with the next report, Paracanoe. John, please, floor is yours.
Thank you, Thomas. Just want to begin by thanking the members of my committee. I could not possibly do all of this work without the dedicated support of the committee members and the advisors and our 2 athlete reps. It sometimes looks like because we're the ones who speak that we are the only ones doing the work, but that's actually not true. There's a great depth of experience and knowledge in all of our committees, and certainly I'm very indebted to the people who have been given their volunteer time to support Paracanoe, and also to those national federations who support them in those efforts. We'll just start off, as the others have started, talking about all of the activities of the past 2 years. It's pretty significant on our side. We include all the continental championships because we coordinate the classification for all those continental championships. And we've had a very significant 2 years, culminating, of course, in the Paralympic Games in Paris. At the same time, most of you know that we have an athlete classification system that is amongst the envy of sports in the Paralympic movement. And we continue to have education workshops spread throughout the world. And you'll see in this past 2 years, we've been active in 3 continents with significant coverage. And it's not just people who are classifiers who take this course, it's actually coaches and sometimes team leaders and administrators in national federations who want to understand better the classification system. I would say the major achievements of this past 2 years was the Asian Paralympic Games in Hangzhou. We were quite involved in writing the application, and we had 53 athletes from 9 countries in Asia participating, and it was a notable experience in a beautiful facility, and it really was very interesting that ultimately led to Asian athletes achieving 26% of the athletes in the Paris Games. So it shows the importance of participating at the continental level in these multi-sport games. Of course, Paris was a significant activity for us. We had the largest number of events ever. We had 10 events for the first time, and we had 100 athletes for the first time, with some notable achievements, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. And in this quadrennial, we have to apply for the Paralympic Games every time. It's not a given. In fact, it's a competition with other sports. And every time, we've been quite lucky. In every single Paralympic Games we've been in, we've received more events and more athletes participating in the events. That's not always going to be the case, but it's the case so far. and it's something that we have to celebrate. We've been chosen for the program, but the events have not been determined. The submission for events will happen in middle of February in 2025, and we're working on that submission. We had significant development in the past 2 years. We focused on a project in West Africa, which started off as a partner project with rowing. For the first time ever in Paralympic sport, there was a partnership. Now, the rowers fell by the wayside. I guess they were going backwards and we were going forwards, and it just didn't work out. But we stayed with this project. This was a difficult project to deliver. This took 4.5 years to deliver what we thought would be an 18-month delivery. But we did deliver it and had a major Paralympic activity in West Africa, and by all accounts, it was a success. And it directly led to the next point, which was the African Talent Program, which we used for Paris, and was extremely successful. For the first time in the Games, we had all continents winning medals. Africa earned its first gold medal in Paralympic sport, and that was a significant achievement, and this is the athlete, Brahim Gwandas. The achievement is his. Let's not be, we don't create athletes. They do create themselves. But what our extra funding did, which came from IPC, we helped to level the playing field. We helped with nutrition. We helped with travel. We helped with physiotherapy. All things that in the first world we take for granted and we give our athletes. But when athletes are coming from countries who do not have those resources, they need that extra help in the Paralympic theater. They also need that in the Olympic theater. And then we look forward to those kinds of improvements. We also had in the same event, Africa achieve a 5th place in the final at the Paralympic Games, Edmond Sanka from Senegal. Again, a very notable achievement when you think about the context, and when you think about the athletes, don't just think about the medal at the end of the Games. Think about the journey they have to take, where they come from in that Olympic journey, and what their achievements are at the Games. And sometimes the people who take the longest journey in improvement are ones we don't see. We also ran development camps, and out of those development camps at the World Championships, we had the first African female who achieved Paris inclusion. And finally, we've had a series of promotional videos developed with IPC support, and I don't know if they're accessible on the website, but I think they are. And they're 90-second bites, which you can use in your federations to support Paracanoe. We're moving forward, and you'll see in the sport rules that we're now this year proposing marathon championships in Paracanoe as official events. We've run test events in cooperation with the Marathon Committee, and we think we're at the point now where we can have official marathon events. And it gives the opportunity for us to try and test other categories and grow participation in areas where we're not strictly governed by IPC rules. In addition, 2 years ago, Thomas signed an agreement with Special O World Games to mutually work together in support of one another's activities. And because kayaking has been part of the Special O World Games since 2003 in Ireland. But it's the first time ICF has signed an agreement with Special O World Games. In addition, we've been having intellectual impairment, or II events, as exhibition events. And I would say there are many federations who have a lot of this activity. And it may be, if participation grows in this area, that we grow it into being not just exhibition, but more than that. And it may be that we can develop this to be something that we would propose to the IPC, because they would be very favorable to this idea. Going forward, of course, the Paralympic Games in LA 28 is really going to drive us going forward, and really define how we wish to proceed and how we intend to measure ourselves going forward. The Para-Pan Am Games for the Americas is extremely important for us. Again, reflecting on the Asian Games, having those continental multi-sport events is critical for development and brings more resources to our sport. I have to be honest with you, I'm not really optimistic at this time that there would be inclusion for 2027 because the organizers don't seem organized. However, that does not mean we quit. That means that we then work forward for 2031. And of course, Brisbane 2032 is determined, and that will, we have a number of ideas on the stage for that, on how we can expand Paracanoe. Fundamentally, and simply put, increasing national federations participation is what we have to do. For Rio and for Tokyo, we had 42 and 41 nations participating in the qualifiers. Okay? For Paris, we had 35. That's not the direction we want to go on. Naturally, COVID has, the COVID pandemic meant that we lost some momentum in our development. We have to reverse that. We really have to target to the mid-40s in terms of national federations participating. And I will look forward to some very strong federations wanting to be involved in a mentoring program to get some of the federations who have fallen off the wagon back into the game. And part of that goal is the participation in the regional games and how ICF can help support the continental organizations in doing that. We continue with education for classification and coaching throughout the world. We'll continue with training camps. We have put on our website a new system, a provisional system to be adopted by nations for athletes with upper limb impairments. Right now, we only include lower limb impairments and trunk impairments. This program really would look, if we can get enough participation, then we would look for inclusion in 2032. And if we include the upper limb impairments, that would increase the athlete population, and you know why we have to do that. And it would make our sport more fully accessible. And finally, the IPC has adopted a new classification code. I would say they're not radical changes, but we have to be compliant with them in order to stay in the game. There will be some changes, but it is something that is going to be a major amount of work, certainly for the next year or two. And that's the conclusion of my report. I'm available for any questions or afterwards, if you have desire to talk and discuss about your ideas, I'm willing to do that.
Thank you, John. Actually, I have to stay neutral as a president when it comes to elections. And I have to admit here that I violated this rule this time because I heard that John considered not to continue as chairman. And then I took the phone 1, 2, 3 times. And finally, I could convince him to continue also for more years. And he is the best candidate for this position. Thank you, John. I also took the phone and called Jean-Michel Bruno. I failed. So, any questions to John? That's not the case, then I ask... Oh, Mosen, please.
Excuse-moi, je reviens sur le slalom.
Can you wait a second, that everyone can use this?
Excuse-moi, je reviens sur le slalom. Pour moi, on a vécu en Tunisie une première, et on a marqué l'histoire. On a participé aux Jeux olympiques de slalom pour la première fois. Et pour nous, c'est grâce à la commission de slalom et à la tête de M. Jean-Michel que j'ai un geste de reconnaissance pour lui, parce qu'il a marqué l'histoire avec nous. Et grand merci aussi à tous les responsables de l'ICF pour ça. Merci à vous.
Thank you, Mosen. We really appreciated your comment, and I ask for more of such comments. Jean-Michel?
Non, just, je vais répondre en français. Donc j'ai bien... Well, we have translation, so you will have a translation. Non, Mosen, merci pour ce mot gentil. On n'a fait que notre travail, notre devoir. L'athlète était talentueux. Il a prouvé qu'il pouvait se qualifier et il est quelqu'un qui est en devenir, comme l'a dit mon collègue. Les athlètes se font d'eux-mêmes et nous, on ne fait que les aider et on ne fait que notre devoir. Voilà. Donc merci pour ce gentil mot, mais ça fait partie de nos missions.
So, thank you. And now we are moving on with reports of our discipline shares, and I ask Manuela to give her report.
Now it's on. Yeah. Thank you, Thomas. Dear delegates, the last 2 years have been very eventful for whitewater canoeing. Together with my committee members, I've been working to develop a strategy for how we can better structure our work to keep the focus on our main goals, to make whitewater sports accessible to more countries and to encourage them to take part in our international competitions. One of our significant initiatives took place during the Sprint World Championship last year in Germany, where we ran our first officially development camp focused on canoe disciplines. Unfortunately, we saw limited interest from nations to participate. However, this setback paved the way for remarkable opportunity at the Junior and Under-3 World Championship held in Czechia. Thanks to the support of the Czech Canoe Union, we implemented development activities that attract 10 more nations to our events. At this year's World Championship in Sabero, our persistence effort bore more fruits. We nearly doubled the number of participating nations compared to the last year. Throughout 23, we successfully hosted 6 World Cup events, followed by 4 this year. And we were holding regular monthly online meetings in person, discussing during the competitions. Together with my committee colleagues, and especially together with the support of Thomas Rosset from the ICF, thanks Thomas, we conducted several development camps for athletes in preparation for our championships. We also held our first seminar for coaches this year, prior to the World Cup in Macedonia, and we could expand our online webinar series for international technical officials, like Slalom do this. With the support of boat manufacturers, we helped overseas athletes reduce their travel costs by providing equipment. Additionally, we benefit from the ICF development budget, which covered costs for coaches at our TIP camps during the World Championships. The number of participants in the canoe events has also increased again, as more athletes are now competing in both kayak and canoe events. A major achievement over the last 2 years has been the strengthening of our internal and external communications. We developed a strategy to build a strong network among athletes, coaches, and national federations. Established nations are now actively supporting overseas and new nations with materials and knowledge, creating a vibrant and expanding whitewater community. During 5 nation meetings held over the last 2 seasons, we collectively defined our objectives for the future of whitewater canoeing. However, we do face challenges, particularly in finding organizers for our main international events. While organizing a whitewater canoe competition may seem simple with minimal requirements, as we have only start and finish to cover, the costs for organizers are often unpredictable. Additionally, as many of our competitions take place in natural rivers, we are subject to the variability of snowmelt and water levels, which makes our scheduling complicated. High transport costs for materials and travel also pose challenges around our canoe disciplines. To address these issues, we were exploring the potential of combining more whitewater disciplines at events, which could make them more economical, viable and attract larger audience. Past championship held alongside Canoe Slalom have it shown, and we are open to combining events with other whitewater disciplines such as freestyle, rafting, or extreme kayaking. For us personally, there is no objective to be part of the Olympics, but we want to be one of the most recognized non-Olympic sports. And as I mentioned before, whitewater canoeing is the most connected with nature of all canoeing sports. During our last nation meeting this year, mid of August in Spain, attended by around 60 participants, we committed to continuing a series of online nation meetings throughout the winter time to keep all stakeholders informed and engaged. Our strategic plan includes strengthening the development activities to encourage newcomers and paddlers from other disciplines to try whitewater canoeing, structuring our long-term international and international calendars and identifying new organizers and venues for ICF whitewater competitions, enhancing the quality of the whitewater competitions and international events to create greater engagement with spectators and organizations, sharing expertise on practice and competition organization, fostering closer cooperation with continental associations and other disciplines to enhance development resources for athletes, coaches, and judges, and expanding transparency and communication. In conclusion, I want to thank the ICF headquarters for their support, and I believe that we can grow our discipline in the coming years with the help of all nations. And for all those nations who still don't know what is whitewater canoeing, I brought you a short clip that you know and that you can see it.
Wondering what wildwater canoeing is all about? Watch this. Wow, pretty cool, isn't it?
Thank you.
So it is pretty cool, your sport, our sport, and I hope you have listened to the call from Manuela to support whitewater sport. She's working as a chairman in a very difficult environment, and keep in mind that whitewater sport was one of the first disciplines of our ICF on whitewater, and we have to shape the future, but we have to protect our roots, and whitewater definitely belongs to our roots. Any questions to Manuela? Manu, thank you. Du darfst dich setzen. And now I'm calling Ruth.
Dear Presidents, dear delegates, dear guests, I want to explain in this presentation the highlights what marathon have done in 23 and 24 international and what we are planning to do for the future. In the composition of the committee include advisors in the past 4 years. Not all continents were represented. So it was important for us to appoint regional advisors for from the continents boards for our committee. These regional advisors are also technical delegates for marathon in their continent. I'm thanking my committee and the regional advisors for all their support. The entries run up this year, and that was mainly because more sea boats entered, but also the short distance. The short distance of 3.4 kilometers is wildly popular, and more than 50 entries in the men's seniors race in the World Championships on the short distance. But also we saw more entries in the World Cups in 23 and 24, so we get more entries. Marathon is more than only short distance and long distance in the World Championships. We have also a race, the Celja Descent, is one of the most famous river marathon where more than 1,000 people line up the side to cheer the athletes. This is the video. It's an amazing competition, all the best paddlers of the world competing there, and sometimes they win. Importantly, we present in all continents, and last year Thailand was a great host to deliver ITO training and exams at Asian Marathon Championships. That was repeated in Argentina in 24. For a cantonal training for Copac marathon officials. Both were very successful visits. Thanks, Cecilia, for your help. It was a pleasure to work with the professional organizations that hosted 23 and 24 World Championships. And there were plenty challenges at both races, but the bumps were taken smoothly. Much appreciations to both organizations, Metkowitz and Denmark. Three years ago, as Sean already mentioned, we have paddled Paracanoe as a demonstration sport at the World Championships. We have done a lot of testing, and in cooperation with the Paracanoe, we are now ready for the full-fledged World Championships. We want to thank the Para Committee for all their support, John. With live streaming, it is important to pay a lot of attention to the commentary during an event to attract a wider audience, but also provide good information for our own audience. And through one expert and one professional commentator, it worked very well in the World Championships 23 and 24. Since we have a full 4 days to fill a schedule with the para and short distance juniors, we hope so that the Congress will approve that. We have to look carefully at how to make this the best schedule that is interesting for the athletes and the public. It will be not easy. It is important to check which is the best period for views of live streaming and that we can broadcast it on a prime time. We need to share our knowledge about marathon, and we think training camps where everyone can participate is important to transfer the knowledge. It is important to set up a coach program in all continents. The fantastic organized Super Cup showcased the best of our 4 disciplines, including marathon, and athletes and audience really appreciate this format, and we hope the ICF will continue with this. It's very important for marathon to show our sport. The support of the ICF staff, Belland, David and Hochan, was crucial to the success of the marathon, and our thanks for that. My report on the ICF website provides more detail in what we did and what we are doing now and plan to do in the future. I want to thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Ruud. We all could sharing so many emotional moments, amazing moments when we could join marathon events, and now full speed ahead to the next year's highlight, participation in the World Games. Any questions to Ruud? Slovak. Miro.
Slovakia. I spoke about this also at our last Congress in Thailand. And I have a principal problem. It's concerning marathon and sprint. Because our sprint event, 5K, is longer than our marathon event, 3.4K. And I think we should move it somehow, you know, because at least for me, it's a little strange. Thank you.
Thank you, Miro.
Miro, I agree with you. No problem.
More questions? Togo? Is that Togo?
Yeah, it's Togo. My English is not so good, so I will speak in French. Alors, je tiens d'abord à remercier tous les membres de ICF et toutes les fédérations ici présentes aujourd'hui. Je réponds au nom de Simedo Komamauko. Je suis le président de la Fédération togolaise de canoë et je suis aussi le président du premier Africain qui a pu ramener une médaille olympique pour ce grand sport. Et je viens d'un pays qui a 7 millions d'habitants et malheureusement, nous n'avons que 4 kayaks jusqu'au jour d'aujourd'hui, tant bien même que nous sommes le tout premier pays qui a pu ramener une médaille olympique. Alors, ma question, ce n'est pas pour le marathon, mais c'est pour l'ICF. C'est plutôt une doléance, je dirais, d'œuvrer pour qu'on puisse, nous, fédérations en Afrique, qu'on puisse avoir beaucoup plus de matériel, beaucoup plus de formation et surtout beaucoup plus de compétition en Afrique. Ça va nous permettre de former nos athlètes en Afrique parce que nous vivons dans des pays où il est très difficile d'avoir des financements pour voyager, pour faire des compétitions à l'international, surtout si c'est en Europe. Et ce serait bien que la Fédération internationale puisse nous aider à former nos cadres au pays, à développer des coopérations entre pays africains pour faire des compétitions sur le territoire africain et surtout nous doter de matériel. Et pour finir, nous avons la volonté en tant que président ou bien fédération nationale africaine. Nous avons, avec le soutien de la Confédération africaine de canoë, organisé une compétition la dernière fois au Togo avec 4 bateaux seulement. C'était des bateaux de kayak Slalom que nous avions depuis 2008. Il n'y avait que 4 bateaux, mais nous avons eu la chance d'avoir à nos côtés d'autres pays comme le Bénin, le Ghana, le Nigeria, des ressortissants nigériens au Togo, même des Français et des Américains qui sont au Togo. Ça a été vraiment une réussite. Ça nous a donné envie de faire plus, mais malheureusement, nous n'avons pas de matériel. Donc, je vais prier tous tout le monde ici présent de nous aider, non seulement le Togo, mais les pays africains, à avoir plus de matériel, plus de formation, plus de compétition sur le continent africain. Et j'ose croire que la prochaine fois, quand nous allons venir en congrès, nous pouvons affirmer et remercier les membres de ICF pour le progrès consenti au Togo et en Afrique. Je vous remercie.
So, thank you. It was more appeal and a statement, and received very well your intention. Nevertheless, I hand over to Cecilia.
Monsieur le Président, merci beaucoup pour votre question. Mais je vais vous répondre en anglais. We work throughout the development program, as I explained before, and we are strongly based on the support of the continental associations with which we are having our programs, our plans. However, of course, we pay attention to your request. It will be our pleasure to work in a closer manner with you, understand the situation of your federation and the possibilities of cooperation. We work also in a very good and detailed way in getting funding through Olympic Solidarity, and our office staff is very well prepared, very well trained to guide you as President of Federation on your relationship with your NOC for the application of that support. That will allow you to have access to programs that are even more comprehensive than the ones that we can provide from here. And regarding the equipment, we understand also very well that that's basic, absolutely basic. We are at this point in time in a process of revision of our situation with equipment, and therefore those donations are on hold for the moment until we have a more clear vision about that. But please, let's speak during the coffee break, if you are so kind, and together with the President of the Continental Association, my good friend Joao Costalegre, and I'm sure we'll get a good development program. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. You are not the first one who asked this question, and we must be honest. Our resources are limited as ICF. That's why we call to all of our federation, looking not only to ICF, try to connect yourself with your NOC, with Olympic Solidarity, and then if you not only want to have support from one source, we are open to help, open to cooperate, if we can create joint projects with Olympic Solidarity, with the NOC. But the key is that you have to present a project which proves the legacy of investment. We have to make sure that when we invest equipment, courses, education, that this investment must have a legacy, and that not the equipment is laying in a corner and will not be used, what also happens in the past. So we are always open for good projects, and I think we altogether want to help you if you can present a really good project past your Continental Association and then to the ICF. There was still the question, are there still some questions to Ruud and his report? So that's not the case. Then next one is Greg. Before I ask Greg to give his report, question, usually we can make now a break, 15-20 minutes, or we can continue and can finish a little bit earlier. No break, continue. Okay, fine. Greg, thank you.
I'll try and make this more comedy then. Please excuse me if my voice goes. I think I've got quite a cold coming, so apologies. First one I'd like to mention is to thank formally Dion Cheng from Hong Kong, China, who's stopping on the committee. He did a lot to speak with CCA in the early days, preparing for the recent World Championships, which only finished 18 days ago. So it's all fresh in our minds. And very sadly for Dion, had to return to Hong Kong due to a very serious work matter. So we didn't really get to say goodbye. So thank you, Dion. The last couple of years and the seasons, I think people still view canoe polo as young children bouncing around in boats with not much skill, and that's far from the case. There are continental championships across all 5 continents, and for those that know geography and cities well, the Asian one in Singapore was actually in Marina Bay itself, so quite a venue to compete in. And the one in Hawke's Bay in New Zealand is a purpose-built canoe polo venue. So things are progressing quite well. And the World Championships 2 years ago and the Continental Champs form part of the qualification to the Worlds. So there is a limited number. In the past, people have said, oh, we've got this number. We are different to that. There is a limit to how many can get there. How many teams entered this year's World Championships? It was 96 teams. And to get to the final rounds in China, there was 71 teams, roughly 8 people a team, plus coaches, plus support staff. You can start to work out the numbers yourself. From 27 countries got to the final bits. That was the venue this year in Deqing, China. And thank you once again to CCA, I'm trying to scan the room where people are sitting, to the HOC and to the city of Deqing for all you did. There was no polo there. We arrived, we caused disruption, if that's the right word, but we made an impact and set up that facility. The medals were shared across 7 national federations and the 4 gold medals to 4 different countries. So it was split quite well, and we have a very low number of medals. It's a very competitive event. The Super Cup, we were lucky enough to only be 1.5 hours down the road, so we got a lot more teams than we would anticipate. And the logistics of moving 300 people and 204 boats early Saturday morning was well achieved. And all athletes really enjoyed it, and we think it helped to create a focus to the Super Cup, which, as other chairs have said, was a great experience all round. There were competitions, there are a lot of polo competitions. I've just highlighted the one in Malaysia, in part because next year's Asian Championships are in Malaysia, and also there was a club competition that I didn't really know of, again in China, combining Asia and Oceania club teams. This is a clip of the World Championships. I don't know if it will start automatically. So I hope that gives you a feeling of where we're beginning to get to, which we really enjoyed the challenge of having it in China. And people have talked about live stream, and I'll let you start to see some of those figures as I talk. We had 8 live streams from the venue across 4 pitches for 6 days, 200 hours, 8 English commentators, separately Chinese commentators, and you can see the viewing figures. They've gone up and up. 2022 in France was a spectacular competition as well. Certain bits are not measured, and Adam, and we all know you can interpret data in many ways, but in general it's gone up a lot. And those that aren't mathematicians, if I highlight the views, we are talking about 7.3 million views of Canoe Polo. 7.3 million. It's a big number in anybody's book. On the Friday, on the main pitch, there were 157,000 live viewers. Again, it's a big number. If we think of live viewers for other events, I'm really pleased with that. They've also created an online photo album, and that has now been viewed by 1.4 million people. And this is only 18 days ago. So we're really pleased, and thank you, CCA, for all you did to help promote that. And thank you for all the previous organisers, because we've stepped forward, moved forward at each World Championships, and we look forward to Germany in 2026. Things that happen, there's pictures, we've highlighted the Iran women's team. They've qualified for the World Games, came fourth. There's a lady in the room that coached the bronze medalists. She's quite happy they came fourth. But there are some new teams in the World Games. One of the big bits I'd like to mention is the events team for the ICF. They've helped me a lot in this period. And bits that we're able to offer at the World Championships. We were able to support 2 development teams. That included Thailand this time and Czechia, and providing boats for those teams. We've done referee training at the Continental Championships and attended events. And this last World Championships, we engaged a professional company to take clips of the games for a future coaching program. And those that know me, a couple of congresses ago, we introduced a code of conduct for referees, including fitness tests, and they hate me for it. But we think if athletes train, the referees should also be fit enough to keep up with the game. We've also now developed a code of conduct for referees, where they very much are, by written agreement, to commentate on what they see and not pass opinion on rules and the ICF and all sorts of things that have happened in other disciplines in the past. It was well received by them. They liked it. It gave them a bit of a planned focus on what to do. We have sponsorship in part by Upin Sports for equipment, for clothing, and bits like that. They want to renew the ball sponsorship for another 4 years. We've been talking to them about scoreboards and goals, and again, they are very keen to do that. And also to help the ICF with financial support to help lobby to get into the Asian Games. Polo is growing rapidly in Asia. And one of the things I put in my written report, I'm not sure everyone reads them, so I'll highlight it here. The 3 big continents for polo are Europe, Asia, and Oceania. All of those 3 have already allocated next year's continental champs. Africa and Americas have continental champs, and I thank you for it. But neither of them, to my knowledge, have been allocated. And the earlier that it can be allocated, the more planning and preparation time for teams to support those events. So perhaps that's one thing you could consider. Strategic plans, future events. We're again in the World Games. We have been since 2005. And thank you, Pachi, for all your support to canoeing generally in the World Games. And we have struck lucky next year in Chengdu. We have the most amazing venue, an enormous 50-meter, 10-lane swimming pool, 2,300 seats indoors. You go up some steps and there's another 50-meter pool to warm up. The athletes cannot ask for more. We just need them to perform. The Asian Games I've just talked about, and the bit at the bottom of that slide, polo's different to everyone else. We have a hashtag Canoe Polo is family, but actually we're fighting each other during the games. and sometimes the referees have to stand in quite heavily to control that aggression. But away from the water, everyone's very friendly and very supportive, and Spain experienced it this time. They had boats stuck in customs, and teams were only too happy to share equipment, share paddles, in order that they could still paddle whilst eventually getting their equipment. Strategic plans, we are looking at the qualification system, in part because we have one category that isn't being filled each time, and another one that desperately want places. So we are going to revisit it and have a look, and also consider whether we can introduce another category, but this is early days. We also have to consider that we have a lot of officials, but it should be remembered we are actually 2 world championships overlapping each other. So if you halve that, we are down to a more reasonable number. And that's it for me. I hope those federations that are involved in polo feel that it is really moving forward. I know the athletes do, and please, we would like new federations to get involved. We're really pleased Thailand and Asia are starting to go for it. I know Egypt are working hard on it. So, yeah, a good future is ahead.
Thank you, Greg. Let's continue together to fight for inclusion of polo in Asian Games, even if that will be very hard. I think the development in Asia deserves that we are fighting hard to include it in the games one day, and we already discussed yesterday a possible strategy how we can use Greg's, my relationships. Pachi, if you meet someone from Asia, please push for polo. Thank you. And let us together work to make this beautiful team sport still bigger. Question? No question. Greg?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The next is Terry. Already arrived. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to feed back what's been happening in freestyle over the last 2 years. I'd like to thank Paddle UK and the ICF for their continued support. I'd like to also thank the outgoing committee for their hard work and commitment. Several of our existing members are standing down, so if I'm re-elected, I will have an exciting new team to work with. We have an ambitious 4-year agenda ahead with lots of plans and lots of hard work. I'm looking forward to the challenge. Our 2 major events were both disrupted by the weather. Our Worlds in Columbus, Georgia was affected by a drought, whereas our World Cup series in Germany was hit with floods. Despite these challenges, we were able to adapt our competitions to bring them to a successful conclusion. Thanks need to go to the respective organising committees and volunteers, and especially to our athletes who adapted perfectly to the changing conditions. As climate change continues to impact our sport, new solutions will need to be found to safeguard our events. To help safeguard the future of the discipline, we were able to run development camps at both major events, both Columbus and Plattling. We hope to see the fruits of these camps long into the future. Likewise, we held 2 ITO seminars accrediting 10 new ITOs who will join the ranks of our judges. To ensure that we continue to accurately represent the wishes of our athletes, we carried out 3 consultations with the freestyle community. One was a satisfaction survey gauging the success of our World Championships in Columbus. 2 other surveys were specifically concerning the continued inclusion of 2 of our existing classes in ICF competitions. All the consultations had positive feedback and were welcomed by the freestyle community. On another positive note, we have now secured bids for all our major competitions until 2029. The Board of Directors awarded the next World Championships to Spain in a joint bid with Slalom and Wildwater. Another exciting development, the ICF signed a memorandum of understanding with the US National Federation and the City of Columbus in Georgia. The plan moving forward is to create our first national freestyle development hub in Columbus, Georgia. This will be a national center of excellence for the development of freestyle in the USA and Canada. This is a major first for freestyle. Our longer-term plans are to create development hubs and run continental championships on all 5 continents. We also want to continue to roll out our development camps, but also to include coaching and organizing seminars and camps. Eventually, we would like to introduce an ICF Freestyle award scheme for both coaches and athletes. And for those of you that have never seen freestyle before, I'll leave you with this video. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Any questions to Terry? That's not the case, but your tireless work pays already off. A lot of new countries explain interest to start with Canoe Freestyle, and I can encourage all those. There's a question. Ah, okay. Togo.
In French, please. Ok. J'aimerais savoir, nous aussi, on fait du canoë freestyle au Togo avec la mer, mais on n'a pas les bateaux appropriés. Je voudrais savoir comment est-ce qu'on peut développer cette discipline-là ici au Togo aussi. Merci.
Terry, question passed to you.
They train in freestyle, but on the sea, and they have the lack of equipment.
That's great. I mean, we would love to do.
Oui, nous avons déjà des compétitions en ce sens entre nos athlètes, mais ça se passe dans la mer. On a l'océan Atlantique au Togo, et je voudrais savoir comment est-ce qu'on peut travailler pour améliorer cette discipline-là au Togo. Parce qu'en fait, d'abord, on ne sait pas trop comment est-ce que les règles se passent, qu'est-ce qu'il faut voir. Nous, on essaie juste de faire des slaloms, des acrobaties et autres. Donc, on voudrait savoir quels sont les règlements, et comment est-ce qu'on peut faire pour développer cette discipline au Togo, parce qu'on a déjà commencé quelques trucs en ce sens-là. Merci.
It would be great for us to work more in Africa. We've worked in Uganda in the past, and that's worked well. I'd be happy to chat to you after this meeting and see if we can work together more closely.
D'accord, merci. Je peux vous montrer des vidéos aussi après. Merci.
Any more questions?
Sounds good.
To Terry? Then I ask Colin to present his report. Floor is yours.
If you're practicing freestyle in the ocean, you should change to ocean racing. It'll be a lot easier for you. I see a lot of nodding heads here, so fasten your seatbelts. This is going to be fast and furious. Mr. President Thomas, fellow athletes and fellow administrators, and any of you that are here who feel that they don't fit into those two categories. Ocean racing is alive and well. We've had a massively successful 3-year stint. These are the members of the committee that have been with us for the last 3 years, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them very much for the time and the effort that they've committed to the event, to the discipline. During the time since the last Congress, we've had 2 massively successful events. We've had World Championships in Australia, where we had a record number of participants, just on 600. It's a record for any of our World Championships. And this year at the World Championships in Madeira, we had the highest number of nations participating, being 35. So massive thanks to both of those federations. Huge thanks to the manufacturers. They make a huge effort. It's often a logistical nightmare to get equipment to these events. But they're coming together, and hopefully next year in my hometown, we are going to break those records by even more. We've held numerous competitions, numerous continental, regional, and world championships. We've been through the Perth and Madeira. We've also made extensive changes to the rules to bring our discipline in line with the unique culture of our sport, of our discipline. As with freestyle, we've secured bids right up to the year 2028. So it just is an indication that we're doing things right and people are happy to bid for our events. For us, the recipe of success is to provide an improved value to the athletes and to the organizers, and to provide attractiveness to the athletes as well as to the organizers and bidders. Doing this within the ambit of maintaining a high standard that is demanded by the ICF. Our strategic plans going forward is to maintain our open entry, allowing an unlimited number of athletes per federation. We have a mass start. There's absolutely no point in limiting numbers. That's why we're managing to get mass starts of 600 athletes at a time, which is a real spectacle if you look at it from a drone. We'd like to standardize our safety protocol. I think of all the disciplines, our discipline from a safety perspective, we were talking about spectators at sports. Our sport in a big downwind, shortly after the start, you can participate without seeing a spectator or another competitor for 20 or 30 kilometers. In a big downwind, someone can be close to the shore, you could be 3 kilometers out to sea. And we really need to have an up-to-date and standardized safety protocol. If Javier gets bitten by a shark and then spat out again, he needs to be able to press a button so we can come and rescue him. What's left of him? We'd like to be entered into multi-sports events. We want to increase our efficiency in providing live streaming, because at the end of the day, because of the uniqueness of the sport with people all over the place, we're going to have to start thinking out of the box and looking at drones from boats, etc. Developments for the first time this year and last year, we've held tip camps at our World Championships, which have gone down really well. We are still offering the development package. I spoke to Andre from Nello this morning, and they've kindly they've offered to continue with that program. When you look at paddling as a whole, and you look at all of the disciplines, the majority of the power base is in Europe. And with our sport, it's very unique in that the power base is outside of Europe. It's pretty much Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa have been the countries that have dominated the sport. And this year, for the first time, we had a European winning the men's single ski. And it's great to see that there's so much, the increased participation and the increased standard is starting to reach a balance, and that's terrific. And I think that's one of the indications as to why our sports, why the discipline's doing so well. And just a quick thanks to the RCF staff for all you guys have done, and to the RCF board for your support. All you guys, thank you so much. And you can undo your seat belts now. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin, for an excellent job and the excellent World Championship this year in Madeira. And now we are moving on to another historic moment, because it's the last time that the chair of Stand-Up Paddle Commission presented a report as a commission. Because of the success of our discipline, we can upgrade this commission to a committee after the elections tomorrow. Noemi, floor is yours.
No. Keep it like this. Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Actually, you stole my first few words. So now I need to rethink, what I need to say. My name is Noemi Horváth, and as you know, I'm the chairperson of the Stand-Up Paddling Commission in the last 3 years. And I'm proud and happy at the same time to present you the work we have done in the last 3 years, because as Thomas mentioned already, stand-up paddling fulfilled all requirements to become a standing committee in the last years, which I think it's already a very big thing. So I'm happy to talk about a few things that happened since our last Congress. There was no change in terms of the members and advisors of our commission. We have been working with the same persons in the last 3 years. We have a very good mixture of athletes, ITOs, and National Federation staff members. And what I would like to highlight here is that, is that we did have a monthly meeting, online meeting, of course, which I think is very important, because we could get into details regarding all important things in developing our discipline. We have had 7 events in 2023, including 2 World Cups and the World Championship, and we have 5 events. We had 5 events this year, including 1 World Cup and the World Championship coming up in 2 weeks. As you can see on this chart, the participation numbers in terms of national federations and participants and athletes increased year by year. As you can see, we reached 1,000 athletes last year, which means that we raised the bar very high, but we like challenges. So this is something, it shows that there is a need for high quality stand-up paddling events in the world. On this map, you can see that we have had World Championships already in Europe and in Asia. And as I mentioned, we will have this year's World Championship in Sarasota in the Americas, which means that in 3 years we have had the 3 World Championships on 3 different continents, and we will return to Asia next year to Abu Dhabi, which is a very unique location. I think that there hasn't been any ICF event there, so it's also a great challenge for us, but we have done the site visit, and it is a perfect location for a stand-up paddling World Championship. Our goal is to provide events on each continent, so it's not European focused or Asian focused, but we're trying to rotate all the continents, so all athletes can have access to these events. We will have a few, much less rule change proposals than we have had at the last Congress, which means that we managed to finalize all basic rules. So from now on, these are only minor changes. And here I would like to ask for your support to vote on the approval of the One Design board category for juniors. One Design category means that all junior paddlers will race on the same type of board. We see the transportation of boards as the biggest challenge of juniors to take part at ICF events. And with this rule, we hope that we can increase the number of junior athletes and also the numbers in other categories as well. So I think it is again a huge step forward in order to widen the range of athletes in stand-up paddling. And that was my presentation. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions.
Any questions to Noemi? No. Oh! Let's start with Bess, you say.
Hi. Actually, this question relates to both Noemi and Colin, and it has to do with the notion of open participation. So the way it works now, at least my understanding, is that a person who wants to participate in the SUP World Championships or ocean racing can sign up and register without being a member of a national federation. And I mean, I know that's true for SUP. I'm not sure about ocean racing. So isn't there an opportunity to have sort of a hybrid kind of process where someone would have to be a member of a national federation in order to participate in a world championship?
Reply.
Thank you. So this open entry system was actually approved by the Congress, and the main goal was to increase participation. As stand-up paddling is the youngest discipline of ICF, the first World Championship was in 2019. The goal was to create a huge pool of athletes and then year by year try to channel them into national federations. We are still in the process of channeling those athletes to national federations. As you have experienced, it's a very different culture in stand-up paddling. They are not that well connected to their federations. So I know and I understand the concerns, and we are really working on making it as smooth as possible.
Thank you, well explained, but there is
If I can reply from an ocean racing perspective.
Okay. But Colin, wait a second. I want to explain the policy. Maybe you didn't realize that the policy looks that we allow open entries. That's what the Congress decided to 19, but that organizers has to send a list of all these open entries to the respective national federations, which can check this list. And we had the cases that some federations said, this guy is not eligible for whatever reasons, and we withdraw him from the start list. So that doesn't mean that our federations are completely out of the process. Colin, please.
Yeah, just to give you some clarity from an ocean racing perspective, all entries in the Ocean Racing World Championships have to be registered at their federation. But the entries that want to be eligible for medals in the main categories, that being the senior and under 23 and junior men and women, have to be entered through the ICF SDP system. The rest can enter directly the masters, but then they disqualify themselves from being eligible for those World Championship medals.
There was a question from Belgium, or Mosen? Mosen first, please. You, sir.
From
the Netherlands?
Excuse me, I speak.
Everett Bosch from the Netherlands?
Sorry.
From the Netherlands?
But let go ahead, Mosen, because he raised a hand before you. He's sitting along next to you. Mosen next,
Thank
and
you.
then Netherlands, please.
Thank you, President. Excuse me, I speak in French. Merci beaucoup pour l'ICF. En 2023, en Tunisie, on a organisé le deuxième championnat Jeux africain de plage. Et on a eu le support de l'ICF et merci aussi à la CAC qu'on a eu des bateaux de surf-ski. Plutôt, c'est les Ocean Racing. Pour ces bateaux-là, on a organisé le championnat de Tunisie aussi. Mais avant, on organise aussi depuis longtemps le championnat de Tunisie qu'on l'appelle kayak de mer. Bon, c'est le même principe. Pour nous, maintenant, cette année, c'est une question qui concerne les deux commissions, Standup et Ocean Racing. On a eu l'accord de la CAC pour organiser le premier championnat d'Afrique d'Ocean Racing et de stand-up en même temps. Et avant, j'ai oublié de vous dire que même le stand-up aux Jeux africains de plage, on a fait une démonstration. On a des stand-up qui sont gonflables, qui se trouvent le seul au commerce en Tunisie. Maintenant, la question, je ne sais pas pourquoi, on n'a pas eu de support de l'ICF ou bien de la CAC pour que cet événement soit réussi en 2024. Par la même occasion, on a reporté cet événement, le premier championnat d'Afrique d'Ocean Racing et stand-up pour le 2025. Et j'espère que l'ICF, c'est le moment où démarrer ces deux disciplines en Afrique et qu'elles soient bien réussies. Merci.
Can you reply?
I'm happy to discuss the possibility to organize ICF events there. So, yeah, let's discuss it after the 2 days.
And Mosen, if I'm right, we have sent you in cooperation with CAC a lot of equipment that you could organize last year, this first African stand-up paddling championships. So, and you received boards, I don't know the exact number, but that should serve a long time to develop our sport.
Merci, Président. Je l'explique. On a reçu des bateaux d'Ocean Racing, mais pour le stand-up, non. Donc, c'est pour faire un championnat continental, on est obligé d'avoir des bateaux. Les bateaux pour l'Ocean Racing, on a déjà, on peut organiser, mais le stand-up, on a seulement des trucs qui sont gonflables, là, qui se trouvent sur le commerce. Merci.
Yeah, inflatable, 40 pieces you got, 40 boards. And there is a special category in our race schedule for inflatables. So, and this is the easiest way to distribute donated equipment, because otherwise we have to spend a lot for transport. And so I think we should continue together on this way, and we have to discuss with the leadership of continents how we can improve our development program, and this year is in ongoing discussions with the continental president. So your first address is the continental president, and if he is giving his okay, we are looking what we can do and help you. So, Netherlands, sorry that I messed that up. You are new.
Yeah, that's the reason why I asked a question.
So we really appreciate that.
It's only a small question. I saw in your presentation that in 2023 you organized more events than 24. So I did wonder why. And I also didn't see the number of competitors from 24. So maybe I was thinking a little bit wrong, like it's going down. But
Yes, so this year's World Championship will be in 2 weeks in Sarasota. So that's why you couldn't see the numbers, because I cannot tell you before the event how many athletes we will have. I will add it to the next report. Regarding the number of events, that's a very good question. We can see a very high increase in terms of athletes, and I think it's all over the world. The sale of stand-up paddle boards and equipments is still increasing. What we see as a challenge is that many people think about it as recreational sport, and this is what we need to work on to provide good events for them. So I hope that we can again reach a bigger number next year and organize more events. I don't know exactly why was this, to be honest.
okay, thank you.
Allow me to reply as well. I was the one who pushed, together with our president at this time, to include stand-up paddling in the Canoe family. And it's a matter of interpretation. Is it good or bad if we have less events on an international level? Because we started as Canoe family only with events on the highest level, World Championships, no other events. Then we introduced 21, 22 World Cups on international level, and we always encouraged our national federations to organize national competitions. In the meantime, a lot of federations embraced this idea, organized national competitions, so that we have much more options for our competitors and not have only to increase the total number of international events, but improve the quality. So that's where we are. And I think in total, under the roof of Canoe family, a lot more year-by-year competitions takes place, thanks to the commitment of our national federations.
Thank you.
And you are welcome, invited to join us in 2 weeks in Sarasota. Will be another great event. Very grateful for questions. No more? Then I ask Dr. Wai-Hung Luk, who is also on the way to become an official standing committee, not yet past the finish line, but with a successful World Championship just finished last Sunday with 26 national federations taking part. We are on a good track with Dragon Boat. The floor is yours, Wai-Hung.
Is on? Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, delegates, President Thomas, board members and guests. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to here to report on what we have done, what the Commission has done in the last 2 years. It was a difficult years for the Dragon Boat Commission, because in the last 2 years, the cities returned the hosting right to ICF. So the commissions have to look for alternatively. Fortunately, with the support from China and Philippines, we managed to organize the World Cup and World Championships according to the schedules. Thank you for CCA and PCK, Philippine Canoe, Kayak, and Dragon Boat Federations. Actually, we managed to complete 6 events in 23 and 24. In 23, we organized a World Cup in Yichang, Jikwai, which is the hometown of the Project Jiyuan. So there was organized in the Dragon Boat Festival. So we so in addition to competitions, also a facility for the citizens. It was reported that there were over 10,000 spectators on the date. And the second event on the list is the Paris 2024 demonstration race in the Paris 2024. We organized three days dragon boat races between the semi-final and the finals period in the canoe sprint venues. This is the second time we have the 8-seater dragon boat demonstration races in the Olympic events. And also 2 months later, in October, during the Super Cup in Hangzhou, we also organized a race demonstration on dragon boats, also the 8-seaters. And October is a busy month for the dragon boat, starting from the test event for the World Games in Chengdu, and followed it by the Yichang World Cup, which is also a qualifier for the 2025 World Games. Of course, just last week, as mentioned by Thomas, that we have competed the World Championship in Philippines. Actually, this is the biggest ever events we organized under the ICF Dragon Boat World Championships. We have 27 countries participating with over 1,500 athletes participating. And it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. Oh. Sorry. Okay, there. And this is also the first championship in Southeast Asia, and also the qualifiers for 2025 World Games in Chengdu. Actually, we have already finished the qualifications arrangement for the 2025 World Games next years. And it was the event was supported by the city mayors and the president of the Philippines. The Philippine president declared that the 4th week of October as the moving forward paddling week Philippines. So that is what I talked with the presidents that they will organize paddling events every year in the coming October, the last week. So I think that if all the countries we're inviting, not only Dragon Boat, this is a paddling, this is all, including all our disciplines. So this is a very good news for Philippines. And this is a picture showing that the embassy on the competition days. The mayor attended all the 4 days events. He was there looking and chatting with all the athletes and the officials. And this is how the participants gathering around. And in addition to the race, they also promoted climate actions. So there was a slogan, paddle together for climate actions on the days, and inviting all the athletes and teams to sign on the big wall so that to enrich such informations. And on other than competitions for administration part, we the ICF Commission, our Dragon Boat Commissions, prepared the 2025 World Games in China. We went there, have inspections on have the inspection of the venue and checking all the equipments, and there was up to the other standard during our checkings. And we did the demonstrations races during the Olympic Games, and also we allocated the World Championships to Philippines after the World Championships after the withdrawals, and also updated Dragon Boat rules. Later you will see the rules, how the rules have updated. And for the development side, we organized coaching seminars in Hong Kong, and there will be one going on in the next month in Malaysia, and also the ITO seminar in Rust, Bulgaria. This is to prepare for the next year's ICF Dragon Boat Cup Crew championships in Bulgaria, Rust. This is some of the ammunition size. And for the future, strategic expense, we are still working very close to the IWGAs for the organizers for the World Games China. This is the first time that Dragon Boat will be paddled, we take part together with marathon on the same days and that's at the same venue. So this is a matching with Dragon Boat and marathon in the World Games next year in August, 9th to 10th. This is the next year's year. And 2025 Cup Crew World Championships, Bulgaria. I've just spoken with the executive directors who are there, so that we have the discussion of how to prepare for the next year's event already. And for the 2026 World Championship Canada, we have already handed over the flag after the World Championship in Philippines to Canada, and they are well prepared and welcome all the countries to participations. And then we're looking forward for better involved after the 2027. And the rules change. This is only a new change for the for ICF rules. We included 8 sitters, Dragon Boats in the rules, because next year's in the World Games, there will be 8 sitters Dragon Boat events. So this is one of our movements. Thank you for your attention. Any questions?
Thank you, Wayong. Definitely next year, World Games will be a highlight for Dragon Boat sport under the roof of ICF, and it's not a secret that I'm already talking with the mayor of Karlsruhe, city who hosts 2029, the next World Games, and using my still available relationships in Germany to convince him to continue with Dragon Boat in the World Games. Sorry, Claudio, but you know, we are working close together. You representing Dragon Boat in the Asian Games, and on the big stage, we are luckily the federation which is recognized by the World Games Association, and so we defend Dragon Boat there in the interest of our athletes together. Thank you. And now it took much longer as expected, and we have still one topic which will take 30 to 45 minutes. I think we should make a break until 4:30 and then continue with the rule changes. So nothing with the early finish today. Sorry for that. Break.
Walked across an empty land. I knew the pathway like the back of my hand. Felt the earth beneath my feet. Sat by the river and it made me complete. Oh, simple things, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. I came across felt the branches softly looking at me. Is this the place we used to love? Is this the place that I've been dreaming of? Oh, simple things, where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need something to rely on. So tell me when you're gonna let me in. I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. And if you have a minute, why don't we go talk about it somewhere only we know? This could be the end of everything. So why don't we go somewhere only we
I keep on running away to a sunny day. My mind is rushing to say I need a getaway. I'm still riding the wave. I try to stay. My habit runs on delay. Maybe 'cause it's you. Feeling smooth like butter, chasing down this butterfly. You feeling me like butter, chasing down this butterfly. Feeling the summer. I'm trying to slow down. Feeling the summer. Watching the sundown. I keep on spacing today. Why the sky is gray. My mind is rushing to say I need a getaway. I stop tracing myself to find my perfect self. Already lost in the game. Maybe 'cause it's you. Feeling smooth like butter, chasing down this butterfly. You feeling me like butter, chasing down this butterfly. Feeling the summer. I'm trying
take my hand, 'cause you got me flying. And that same old gravity ain't come round yet. 'Cause of what we got, there's no denying. With hearts on our sleeves, we could never believe. It's like heaven conceived it. Lord, I would you hate on me? I'm just a memory, a fantasy, and I got stuck in your head. Yeah, I'm stuck in your head. Yeah, yeah, oh babe, don't put the blame on me. It's so sad to see you in agony. Keep some faith for me. Yeah, yeah. I fucked it up from the start. I'm sorry that I broke your heart. Yeah. Gotta get out of this darkness, 'cause you're as bright as a star. Used to be so full of energy, you was a fan of me. Now you keep screaming out fuck love. It ain't a fan of me, friends are the enemy. Since just a part of this tough love, I guess we can go back to what we had in the past, and that is on me. But just so you know, I'm barely trying to change. Never thought that we would end up here, but life is strange. Hey, why would you hate on me? I'm just a memory, fantasy, and I got stuck in your head. Yeah, I'm stuck in your head. Yeah, yeah, oh babe, don't put the blame on me. It's so sad to see you in agony. Keep some faith for me. Yeah, yeah. Hey, just keep some faith for me. Promise it'll be alright. Time moves slow and you're feeling low, so let me get you out. Girl, we can chill in the clouds, show you around. Look at me now, all of these feelings that I used to drown. Fuck it, let's just live it up, ain't no slowing us down. Hey, why would you hate on me? I'm just a memory, fantasy, and I got stuck in your head. Yeah, I'm stuck in your head. Yeah, yeah, oh babe, don't put the blame on me. It's so sad to see you in agony. Keep some faith for me. Yeah, yeah.
I heard this guy says he wants you. Tell me what you want me to do. I said, hell no. Low blows, sharp tones, spaces needed. Reach my ceiling. Sorry, didn't mean it. I'm just a little insecure, secure, caught up in my feelings. I'm just a little insecure, secure, secure. I start shaming, entertain him, plain judgmental, words keep flaming. You say, hell no, too close to home. Time is needed, reached your ceiling. Sorry, didn't mean it. I'm just a little insecure, secure, caught up in my feelings. I'm just a little insecure, secure. Sorry, didn't mean it. I'm just a little insecure, secure, caught up in
Please take your seats. Everyone is tired. Please take your seats. So let's start with the last part of our journey today. Topic 20, discipline rule changes, and Danielle is ready to go through rule changes. Please, Danielle, floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon again. I have the pleasure of doing the last session this afternoon. It is our rule changes, so it's probably our most complex set of voting that we have to go through for today. I encourage you to have a look at the presentation on principal rules. It's on the ICF Congress website rather than the spreadsheet, because I'll be going through the principal rules as a collective with all of the disciplines. So rather than going through it discipline by discipline, because principal rules cover all the disciplines, we'll be going through them per principal rule to try and make it a little bit easier and a bit clearer. So just kicking off, I just wanted to, don't know how to do that. Sorry, be 2 seconds. Just kicking off, I just wanted to go through the definitions of the 3 different types of rules that we have outside of the statutes. The first one are our sports governance rules, or our common rules. And as you can see here, this is straight out of the statutes. They're applicable to all disciplines, and they're exactly the same wording that's contained in each chapter of the rule book for each discipline. So when we vote on a common rule, you are voting for that rule to be changed with the exact wording across all of our disciplines. The second lot of rules we have are the principal rules, and they are in principle applied to all disciplines. So the wording is not necessarily the same. It's the concept of what the rule entails, and then each discipline can have that wording tailor-made for themselves. The sports rules are our technical rules, or our field of play rules, and they're all technical aspects specific to the disciplines. Now, I will say up front now is that we don't have all of these rules in the right spot, and we understand that, and Cyril and I have had a look, and I know that this will form part of the review starting early next year, in just trying to tidy up some of these things too. So post the Congress, if you've got any love of rules or have some ideas of where things should go, I'd really appreciate your feedback in just trying to get these sorted into a slightly more simplistic form for us rather than being quite so complicated. This is just to give you an idea. So we've got 10 disciplines. As I said, the common rules at the top there, they're voted on by Congress, and they're word for word across every rule book. The principal rules, they're voted on by Congress, and the wording is then put together by the board, and they are voted on by Congress. So across all the disciplines, concept, wording can be different depending on the discipline. Sporting rules are the technical rules of the field of play, and they are not voted on by Congress. They are voted on by the board of directors, and they come into effect. So they're the ones that you should be writing into the chairs and the boards through the NFs to get a say on how that you technically move forward. So is everyone clear on that? So we're going to start with the sports governance rules. We have 5 sports governance rules that we've been requested to modify, delete, or clarify. So I'll run through those. And then we've got 11 principal rules for 10 disciplines. So we'll run through those principle by principle, and hopefully it won't be too painful. The other thing also is that we're going to block vote for each of the principal rules. So if you disagree with what we've put down as a voting concept, or you've got questions, we'll pull this particular one out, and then we can discuss that. So don't feel that you're being sort of railroaded into block voting. It's just easier for us. But if you've got a question, please let us know, and we'll pull that rule out, and then we'll vote on the rest, and then we can discuss that particular one. All right? So, as we said, common rules applicable to all competition rule books, same wording. The first one, This has been proposed by the ICF, and basically it's a new definition of groups. And the reason it's come about is because Canoe Freestyle can no longer use heats in their wording, and so they've asked to be able to put the definition of groups into the definition, so they can use have the term group rather than heats, because it doesn't apply properly for them. All right, I might just keep rolling through, and if people have got a question, I'll try and scan, so if you put your hand up, I can see you. Yes. Oh, Greg.
Sorry, whilst I don't disagree with it, that would prevent, if it's a general rule across everything, that would prevent fours polo, the four aside.
Why would it prevent? What for?
You're saying a group 5 to 10 athletes, not 4 to 10.
Denoting one section 5 to 10. So that's come through, I think, in relation to Canoe Freestyle. So, Terry?
It's 5 to 10 because that's what our heats, our groups are made up of. So they can be, they could be less than 5. They could be 4 to 10 athletes. There's no reason why they shouldn't be, but generally speaking, it would be 5 to 10 athletes.
I've not got a problem. It's just if it's a general rule, it applies to everyone, I think, isn't it?
It means that the definition of that's a definition of a group. So it doesn't mean that we haven't got definition of a team. Okay? All good? Well, we're doing well. Okay, second one is the second one is yes. So this one is a new one. Sorry, to be deleted. So yes. So this one is the Olympic events should be used as a base for competition program in the Continental Games, and we want it deleted because it doesn't include the non-Olympic disciplines, so we just want to take that one out. All good? The third one is a new section, which is the awards distribution clarification. Sorry. Canada? USA? Ooh.
That last one, if you could put it up again, about the...
Deleted for the Olympic disciplines?
Yeah.
Yep.
The trouble is that if the Continental Games become part of the Olympic qualification process, in other words, Continental Games become the Continental qualifier, and I understand there's a very strong push for that to happen, then if the Olympic events aren't in the Continental Games because they prefer to use another discipline, someone's lobbied for another discipline to be there instead of the Olympic disciplines, that's potentially going to create a problem.
Well, I think that, yes, probably true, but this is exclusive as opposed to inclusive as a general concept, and I think we need to probably trust our chairs to, to work on that.
Well, except that our chairs don't have any really have any control over which events get included in a Continental Games.
Well, I think, Thomas with our chair and our chairs and our vice president will have some influence on what gets used into a games. But I understand where you're coming from. I think it's just to try and be a bit more inclusive in respect to broadening our abilities. I don't think it's really there to try and challenge the current Olympic disciplines.
I just wanted to point out the potential problem.
Yep.
It's not a problem, Charles. It's a matter of interpretation. You interpreted this rule in a completely different way. Now, our hands are tightened to fit a program of Continental Games to request of organizers. So we don't want to exclude our Olympic sports, but if a special organizer is saying we want to add a non-Olympic sport, then the current rule don't allow that. So we just want to give us more flexibility because there is no one fits all model anymore if we are dealing with organizers.
Okay, I've just run forward now then to the, to the one, so that was the deleted one. So the next one was awards distribution, and this is just to talk to that currently we award medals. We can award medals to people who have not reached the finish line in any phase of the competition. So what they're wanting to do is clarify, or put a new wording in to ensure that you've actually finished in order to be awarded a medal. Got a couple of frowns. No questions? The next one is a new one as well, and this is in respect of missing information. So the new proposed wording is, in case of a crew change in crew boats during the competition, medals will be awarded only to the athletes who competed in the last phase of the competition. Okay? And the last one's a clarification on a matter of fact, and what it is that we've actually, the existing wording says the matter of fact during the competition cannot be contested in an appeal, and we want to update the wording for clarification to say that the matter of fact considered during the competition cannot be used in appeal. So it's got to be new information. Yep.
Okay. I just have a question on the one about the medals.
Yep.
Yeah. Is it not kind of normally accepted that anyone who has been party to a crew boat becoming victorious and getting a medal deserves to have a medal? And it would certainly be the situation in athletics and relays, for instance, where they might have anyone who has performed during that relay competition, although they might change in and out members, will be awarded a medal. I'm just wondering the reasoning behind not awarding them.
I think it's actually split. I might get Thomas or Richard to talk to that, but I think that swimming has the same with relays, that the 5th and 6th people get medals, but I think a lot of sports don't. Richard, do you have anything on that? No? Okay, yeah, sorry. So that's. I think it's just in respect to, I suppose, with the crew boats. I think in like in rowing, if you swap out, I don't think you get a medal. If you're in, you get the medal who's final. It's the same with some of the. Is it hockey? I think that they don't all get medals. So I think that that's where it's come from. Yep, USA.
If this relates to the position with regard to sprint, where we have a very specific rule that says between the different phases of the competition, if there is illness or injury, then an athlete can be replaced between different phases. But they all get a medal at the end of the day. It appears that this is penalising athletes who have had to withdraw because they're ill or injured. I'm not sure that's fair.
I'm not sure that I would call it whether it's fair or not. I think it's, like there's probably two schools of thought, that the people that are in the crew boat that win the race, and there's tactics that are run in other sports where they have substitutes run the earlier races in order for the later ones to do their best. I don't think it really applies. I think in sprint it doesn't really apply. I'm not sure on what specific example that you're talking about, but I think it's a 50-50 on whether crew boats or whether crews or teams get medals. It's quite split across.
What this rule change will effectively do is encourage athletes who shouldn't be paddling to paddle. They're ill, they're injured, they should be replaced, but they won't want to be replaced because they're then ineligible for a medal.
I imagine that, and I'll probably put Greg on the spot here, that Canoe Polo might be one that this talks to as well, with with your substitutes, like your full team, as to whether that would mean that your full team wouldn't get medals. It'd be the ones who play the last game, I would imagine.
No, because they all play. They're all substituted, so they're all participating in it. And we're not... it says about a crew change.
Yeah.
For me, whilst it's in the common rules, this isn't a common rule. It's about a crew boat, which isn't applying to a lot of different disciplines.
Yes, and it's a good point, and I take your points, because that's exactly what Cyril and I have been talking about, is what are common rules that we have to have exactly the same wording for and what we don't. So at the moment the board has said that we support this one. It's up to yourselves if that's something that you do or don't want to do. And I think it's the last one, which is 1 point. No, I've got one more. So that's number 4. Just for your reference on the wording, and then this last one, which is the one.
Can I ask,
Yes.
do you want that we pull it out, this paragraph, and vote separately, and then bring it back and finally make a whole vote about our rules? Is that what you want?
Well, actually, I'd like to have an individual vote on each of them. On each of the... I wouldn't want to vote on these as a package, because as a federation, we would agree with some, but not agree with others.
Charles, I really appreciate your opinion, but the board decided the way that we voted in a whole about the proposal. But of course, if there are a discussion about a single paragraph, we take them out, discuss this paragraph, vote about that, and if we have to change the wording, then we have to change the wording, put it in again, because not each of these paragraphs are disputed. Okay. Otherwise, we are sitting here hours.
No, I understand. I'd like to follow that process that you suggest with regard to the crew change paragraph.
Okay, then let's take this out. And
so there's only, as I said, there's 5 altogether. So it's not a lot. So we take out. Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Sorry, yes. Elena from Russia. I have a question for the previous rule change. The same question.
Yep.
I would like to ask about Dragon Boat. For example, we have 20 paddlers and 4 substitutes. And normally, so we got 24 medals. Now, if we accept this one, proposed wording, then it will be only 20 medals.
Yes, theoretically, if whoever paddles the final would be the ones that get the medals.
But this is strange, because this is in our discipline, in Dragon Boat, it's normal that we change people.
So
and
what-
all of them should get medals.
So what we'll do is we'll pull that one out,
Yes, please.
so that we'll have the 4.
Because it affects different disciplines, and they're quite different.
Yep.
Thank
No,
you.
they're good points. So we'll go to. I'll get this one or the vote changed that we can have. Have I missed anyone? Oh, over here.
Thank you. The proposed rule change about when...
can you introduce yourself? I know you, but...
Sorry. I'm Ailey. I'm on the Athlete Commission of the ICF, and I'm from Great Britain. For the proposed rule change about there being an invalid result on an athlete's on one of the stages, I'm not sure if I've understood it correctly, but if that means, for example, in slalom, if an athlete were to break their paddle and swim and not cross the finish line on the first run of heats, but qualify through to the second run and go on through to the semi-finals and finals and win a medal because they had one invalid result, that means that they wouldn't be able to win a medal?
No, I don't believe so. I don't think it affects slalom.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Elite, you are covered. The text say who only has invalid results. So if you have one valid result in one phase, you are still ranked and you could be awarded a medal.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
We agreed in the procedure that if there is a question to one of the single paragraphs, we want to ask those person who submit this paragraph that he can explain the meaning behind. So in this case, we are just identified who submitted. Canoe Sprint. Toshi, can you explain the meaning behind?
Thank you very much on the question, our colleague and Charles. Because for canoe sprint, crew changes and only permitted in case of the injury. So in this case, we don't have any problem. And also, we prefer and this expression because it's clearly who can obtain the medals and award. I think in the canoe sprints strongly and recommend to change this rule. Thank you.
Thank you, Toshi. Charles, you should foster a better relationship with the canoe sprint committee.
Yeah, because Charles is always, and and give it a good, of course, a native English and the lawyer, and therefore Charles always insisted, even in the small expressions. Thank you, Charles. And also, explanation by Charles, let us know, everybody understand. In sprint, only permitted the crew the changes in case of the injury. So therefore, we prefer this rule. Thank you very much.
But it becomes a general rule, and obviously other disciplines are struggling because they are affected. That's the problem right now.
Yeah, of course, I understand. But from the point of the view, sprint is okay. Of course, the other events in the different opinion, but especially I now understand that the problem with the dragon boat, but...
do we really need this rule change now, or can we wait until 26 that we can discuss with other disciplines how we can find a wording which fits all disciplines or put it in the discipline rules?
For me?
Yeah?
Yeah, and in the sprint, even without these expressions, already in the crew change will be allowed only in case of the injury. So in this case, even without this rule is okay. However, it is very important to create the common rules so we can wait until next 2 years. Thank you.
Netherlands.
Yes, hello, my name is Charlotte Buckes from the Netherlands. I was wondering, I'm not from the sprint discipline, so please explain. So if one athlete plays, that's Canoe Polo, one of the athletes races in the heats, and then after the race he or she breaks her leg, for example, and he or she is not able to compete in the next races, then the boat will win the gold medal. In my opinion, this person who breaks a leg is still part of the group. They are still part of the gold medal. So how can we then say that only the 4, if we talk about the K4, for example, will get a medal?
Yeah. You underlined my proposal that he should withdraw this motion, what he just did, so we not longer have to vote about this proposal. We can wait until 2026. And I encourage our chairs to coordinate their proposals and motions better in the future.
Yeah, of course I understand, and even in the athlete who broke legs in the preliminary round, he expressed the great contributions. Maybe he contributed to this result. So I think it's we have a time to consider. However, currently, we have already clear rules. So therefore, my comment is from the current rule only. But it's a time for us to have a more, time to deliberation. So if everybody agreed to wait 2 years, I'm okay, of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Toshi. Can we scratch this wording? Okay.
Yeah, so now we've got the new definition, the deletion of the Olympic piece, the new I haven't got, and the deletion of 1.86F, and then just the clarification, which is 1.112. So 4 that we're supporting, and we've deleted the one on crew boats and winning medals.
Okay.
Is everyone okay with that, or do they want us to take out anything else that they disagree with? We're good?
I think we're ready to move forward with, with the vote.
So can we do the vote for the 4 articles?
I don't think we need to change the wording. We know, in principle, we all know that we're taking that one out if it makes it quicker.
Yeah, I don't think the wording.
Just keep it simple.
Keep it in for the minutes. Congress proposed to take this paragraph out, and then we are voting without this paragraph about the remaining rule changes.
So the vote is now open.
Michelle, Martha has a problem with her vote. Can you help her?
We're at 80 votes, so I think we're able to close the votes. Thank you.
So thank you for 78.8% yes, so the rule changes passed.
Yes, and these are absolute majority, not 2/3. And thank you, Charles. We'll actually put that in to have a look at whether that rule should be actually pushed into a principal rule so it can have some variation across the disciplines. Okay, next. Now we're on to the principal rules. So as I said before, these are across all of the disciplines in principle, but the wording can be different across the different disciplines. What we've done is we've got 10 disciplines. So the first principle is the type of competition. So every one of the rule books has a section in it about the type of competition. They aren't great. They actually are quite, they're not perfectly aligned at all. And that is one of the things that we want to try and do over the, in the future, is actually start to line these up to make them a little bit more sensible for us and easy. This table shows you that we've only got one of our disciplines, which is ocean racing, has asked to amend the type of competition that they're going to, that they have. So the rationale is to align the name due to the removal of the world ranking. So it's actually an amendment of their Article 2.21, and what they're saying is that they want a new name for the Level 3 competition, Ocean Racing Continental Championships instead of world ranking points. So we're in favour of that. Any questions? All good? Excellent. So this will be a vote because that's the first principle one. That's the only one that we've got under that principle. So we've put it in so you can see that it's an amendment to the current principle rule specific to ocean racing. If we can open the vote.
Okay, we can close the voting.
So thank you for 93.3% yes votes, and we can go ahead.
Okay. The next principle is around international competition organisation. We have 3 of our disciplines that are wanting clarification and simplification. So the first one will be canoe marathon, then freestyle, and then ocean racing. So this is all under international competition organisation. So under canoe marathon, they want to define the competition schedule. So it must be made generally available. Definitive competition schedule needs to be made available to teams using online platforms where possible, which is an amendment to their rules. The rationale is that it's preference to use online information, and the board recommends that one. Any questions? So that applies to marathon. Okay, the next one, canoe freestyle. So they're asking for an amendment that they want to alterations and withdrawals must be done at the latest during the team leaders meeting, so a timing piece. And if a withdrawal is done before the heats, I can barely read this, sorry. The heat phase, the athlete is not ranked. If the withdrawal is done after the heat phase, the athlete is ranked based on the ranking the highest phase completed. So that's an amended article, and it's to clarify the deadlines for entry changes and to clarify the impact of withdrawals during competition. Any questions?
I think, Daniel, if people have questions and they raise their hands, we'll
You'll
spot
find
them.
them?
You
Okay,
carry
I'll
on.
just keep, well, I'll keep going then.
Perfect.
All right, so the third one for this principle, so we've got 3, this is the last one, it's for ocean racing, and it's really to remove the constraints. So Colin spoke about this before, to remove the constraints of the competition schedule alterations, and it's really to say that there is a 3-day window period when they've got weather, I understand, to allow them to modify the schedule when they need to. So voting, so we're in favour of those 3. If there's no one wants to move anything, then please, if we can open the voting to say yes to those 3 amendments under International Competition Organisation.
Let's open the voting. Okay, please close the voting.
We can improve. Now 94.8% of the voters voted in favor. Motion passed. Go ahead, Danielle, please.
Okay, the next one is competition program. We have 5 of our disciplines looking at 4 new sections and 1 update and new. So Paracanoe is the first one to update. So this is to define, it's basically to align the Paralympic program, amended articles, and to define women's VL3 as a Paralympic event. For Paracanoe and marathon, so this is in principle, and this is actually adding the 6.8K, is it? Yeah, for the different classes for the para classes and an open class. And the open class is to welcome additional impairments, which John spoke about before, about having upper limb impairments, being able to compete. And this will allow them under this to trial it for the next, I think it's the next couple of years. All good. Okay, so canoe slalom is to add 2 new events for kayak cross, and that's individual men's and women's time trial. The rationale is to give value to the time trials and to progress an alternative format for kayak cross where the venue is not adapted. So that is amended articles, and it's an added one to define, the chapter to define the format. Canoe Marathon, so they want to amend their article, which is just to reinforce the development of short course, to add junior classes for short course races in men's K1 and women's K1. Okay, and then we've got Canoe Ocean Racing, and it's to add OC1, outrigger canoe single events, in the competition program, and that's to lift the development of the discipline, fit with the development of the discipline. And finally, Dragon Boat, to add 8-seater boat events, and that will be the boat used for the 2025 World Games. So that's, we agree with all of those changes. So if you're happy to vote on that with those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 changes on the competition program.
Still missing quite a few votes. There we go. Okay, we can close the voting. Thank you.
So motion has passed again with 94.4% of the votes.
Okay, the next principle is competition format. So this is actually, we've just got 2 from the sprint program and from marathon, which is adding opportunities and adding to the missing definition. So for canoe sprint, it's the addition of the 5,000 metre events. It can be organised in a relay format, and it can be organised with or without a portage. So that's to allow the relay format after 2 years period of testing. And for wanting to keep it open, by not making it a mandatory portage. And for canoe marathon, it's to add the short distance competition format definition, which was missing, I believe, which is, as you can see there, more than 20 boats in a class, 2 heats, best 6 boats. I won't keep reading it, but it's basically to define when the heats are required on short course and to define the progression to the final. All right. So we'll go to the vote for that one, for competition format. 2 to vote on.
Okay, please open the voting. Okay, you can close the voting. Thank you.
Thanks for 70 yes votes, 93.3% in favor of this motion, and we can go ahead.
Yep. The next principle is around Masters World Championships, and we have 3. We have 1 from marathon, 1 from Wildwater, and 1 from ocean racing. So new definitions and an updated definition. So these are all around definitions. So for canoe marathon, it's defining the events and the ability to, with a double boat, to have a 10-year band and to have, I think it's and 5-year bands with the single boats. and no upper limit to age bands, because we know that you marathon until you're 100, I understand. I'm looking forward to it. Whitewater canoeing, similar things. I can't actually read that, but it's just defining the masters classes for whitewater, and it's just to comply with their rules. And then canoe ocean racing, defining their SS2 age group, and this is the one that I was thinking of before, which is actually having a combined age of the two athletes to end up in the Masters, and that they can paddle from different countries. So that's to do with Masters World Championships, 3 that we all agree with. The board does. So the vote is for those 3.
Okay.
To do with Masters World Championships.
Please open the voting. Thank you. Okay, you can close the voting. Thank you. Please just be Yep, there you go.
Thank you for 72 votes in favor, means 97.3%. Motion passed.
The next principle is boat specifications, and the boat specifications, we've got eight disciplines that have requested amendments to their clarifications and or amendments to their boat specifications. So this one's a little bit longer, and as you can see, the board's not in favour of 2 of them, and I'll run through the reasoning behind this, and that is around some of them that are more drastic in the boat specification space is really around having a little bit more careful consideration with our structural review and our organisational review starting at the beginning of the year. So I'll just run through each of them for you. So the first one is canoe sprint, and it's to add rewording the ability to have a seat that moves in a sprint boat. So that's the first one. Canoe slalom, the board is not in favour of this one. You'll see that it's quite significant reduction in boat size, so from 3.5 to 2.9 for each of the different categories is a reduction, and removing the boat width limitations. That was brought into us from Australia and Canada, and as I said, the ICF is proposing that we take a little bit more time at looking at such a large move away from the current specifications of the boats. Okay. The next one here is, it's the second bit, which is boat weight, which is actually reducing K1 and C1 boat weight from 9 kilos to 8 kilos, and kayak cross for the women from 14 kilos, or 13 kilos for the women and 16 kilos for the men. Again, we've just introduced kayak cross. The board is probably keen to be a bit more cautious about change at the moment and would like to actually push that through our organisational review. Third one is canoe marathon. So they're talking about providing a means to prevent extreme innovations that create a risk from taking part in events. So that's to prohibit any part of the boat that might be a safety concern. So it gives them the power to look at the boat, even if it might meet the specifications, but if they think there's a safety concern with what's on the boat, then they can actually look to have that piece removed or that boat not used. A canoe marathon again, they've asked to increase the boat weight to the sprint boat weights. Again, we've set up a working group. We want to set up a working group to have a look at this again in respect to what the impact of this would be in marathon. Okay. Next one, Wildwater canoeing boat specifications. So this one is a clarification about their boat definitions and adding a mass-produced plastic boat. So their boat definition they want to say is that the boat must be designed to and remain within the required dimensions and weight. Any additional weight needs to be permanently fixed to the boat, and the mass-produced plastic boat, add the mass-produced plastic boat, and the deck of the boat must not have any dangerous or sharp edges for Wildwater. So we agree with that one. Canoe Freestyle, it's an open canoe definition, and it's really to clarify the flotation must be fully inflated and in place, and to reduce the open depth of the boat from 40 centimetres to 37.5 centimetres. Board's in favour of that one. Ocean racing, and this one is to simplify the requirements and adapt the boat inspection process, and it's really they want to remove all constraints of hull and cover requirements. There's no need to control the weight of a surf ski. There's no constraint and no post-rate inspection. So that will simplify their boat process to all good. Okay, Dragon Boat. They want to add, we spoke earlier, they want to add an 8-seater boat and its specifications and adjust the measurements of the 10-seater and 20-seater boats. And this will be used, obviously the 8-seater will be used in the 2025 World Games, and the 10 and 20-seater adjustments are to fit the manufacturer's products. Stand-up paddleboarding. So Naomi spoke about this in her presentation, and that is one design of ICF SUP to 14 foot, mandatory to race at the Junior World Championships. So with the vote with this one, so if you vote yes on this one, you'll be voting in favour of the canoe sprint one, you'll be voting against the canoe slalom and the marathon. Is that correct? Oh, I can't go back, sorry. Sorry? Oh, that's for the working group, yeah. Marathon. Yeah, so we want to go to the working group, so that's a not in favour. Yeah, and then the others are in favour. If we can go to a vote. We're missing Whitewater? No? It's in favour there at the top.
Okay.
Once again, if you are voting now with yes, you are following the recommendations of the board for each of this paragraph. Vote is open.
Let's close the vote then, please.
Thanks. Motion passed with 56 in favour.
Okay, we're over halfway. Only got 5 to go, and that was the biggest one, so hopefully it won't take us too much longer. So the next principle is athlete personnel equipment or personal equipment. So we have clarification, amendment, clarification and adjustment for sprint, slalom, marathon and dragon boat. So the first one, canoe sprint, it's a wording clarification. So it's the data recording devices regulations clarification, and it's for it not to be visible during the race to the athlete, no sound or vibration, and not to be on the boat post-race boat control. Okay, next one's Canoe Sprint again, and that is for the team uniform information, the design and colour needs to be attached to the nominal entries. It's just new wording to improve the process. Canoe Slalom. So this one is to use kayak cross paddle specifications for all events. This came through from Canada, and it's so no sharp edges, so that whatever the freestyle measurements are, that they want to use that across Canoe Slalom. These actually, again, I think need to be cautiously reviewed, and the board is not in favour of that. Canoe Marathon, the electronic devices during competition. So this is an amended article for real-time feedback on performance for use by television, real-time feedback on the boat, speed and heart rate during the race is possible, and communication devices or signals or instruments with coach or support team is not allowed. So it's just to bring clarity to the use of electronic devices during competition in marathon. Okay, and Dragon Boat, is actually to fit with the manufacturer's products, and that is adjust the measurements of the paddle. So it's an amendment. All right, so for voting, we have the board is in favour of the Canoe Sprint and the Canoe Marathon and the Dragon Boat, and they're not in favour of the Canoe Slalom. Freestyle blades being used as the slalom paddles. You right to vote?
Please open the voting. You're doing great, Daniel. Keep smiling. Okay, please close the voting.
$65 votes in favor means 87.8%. Passed.
Excellent. All right, the next one is identity and advertising trademarks. And we only have one amendment on this one, and that is with ocean racing. And the amendments to have a better identification of the paddler by the spectators. So they want a reduced size of the decal and a flag and country code on the decal. That's it for this one. So you can vote. We're in favour of that one, the board. So vote's open.
Let's keep the numbers up. 46, 57. Okay, please close the voting.
Motion passed with 71 in favor.
Excellent. Okay, 3 to go. Next one is entries policy, and we only have two amendments to the entries policies, and that's from Slalom and from ocean racing, or new policy for ocean racing. So for Slalom, it's to unify the entries policy across all the canoe slalom events, and I won't go, you can read that. It says there for 3 boats for World Championships and World Cups, reducing from 4 to 3 for slalom, and the board's in favour of that. And for canoe ocean racing, it's to embrace the whole community at the World Championships, so no limitation on in terms of the number per national federation to compete. All right, so that's the vote to be in favour of those two, the new policy and the amendment for slalom, and a new policy for ocean racing.
Okay, thank you. Please close the voting.
Proposal passed with 68 votes in favor, 89.5%.
Okay. Second last one is the process, the process of decisions at ICF competition. So we have a canoe slalom amendment and a marathon improvement. For canoe slalom, it's the inquiry, the protest and appeal to the jury for kayak cross. They want to add an inquiry possibility for kayak cross during time trials and to clarify protest and appeal opportunities. We've said that we need to keep this simple with no inquiry. That's what they're saying is actually the rationale for it, and to protest and appeal concerning any irregular delivery of the competition may still occur under the existing rules. Oh, so that's yes, that's us. Sorry, I've got you confused there. That's us in our rationale as to why we're not supporting this at this time. Okay, and for canoe marathon, this one is updated rule for a response and gives the competition committee some flexibility around how long the team leader has to make a response based on the situation at the event. So basically it's improve and protect and report process by adding notification of the time by which they should make any response they want to be considered. So the board is not in favour of the slalom one, and they are in favour of the marathon one. That's what you'll be voting for, and the votes are open.
Okay, we can close the voting. Thank you.
Even this proposal passed with 63 votes in favor, 90%. And still one more.
One more. So
Daniel.
the last one is World Cup and World Championships organisation. So we've got 4. Adjustment, simplification, clarification is what we're looking at for Paracanoe, Slalom, Marathon and Ocean Racing, and the board's in favour of all of these. So the first one from Paracanoe is to be able to give a per diem to each classifier official, and that's set out there in the depending on the team size that it increases. The second one is Canoe Slalom, and it's to reflect the current reality and give flexibility around World Cup organisation. Is everyone happy with that one? So it's to create flexibility around World Cup organisation and remove the duration limitation. So World Cup final competition format can be yearly defined in an appendix, a removal of a doubling article around the World Cup event. So they want to move it into an appendix. Okay. Canoe Marathon. And this is to clarify the several aspects around the World Championships organisation. Okay, so this is to do with the drawing of lots to be conducted under the control of the ICF official, establish the time when valid races are defined, so nominal entry deadlines. So it's really updating several aspects of their World Championships organisations. And the last one is our ocean racing, and that's actually clarification of the rules of the World Championships. So they're just amendments. So it's basically clarification of the best downwind conditions. Forecasts will be given to the SS1s on competition day. clarification concerning the award categories, which is Open, Junior and Under 23s and not Senior, and the Nations Cup and Friendship Cup calculation clarification. Okay. Oh, sorry, I've got one extra from ocean racing, and so it continues, I think, to go on to make it more attractive to national federations to want to bid for the World Cup competition. So removal of constraints in terms of the defined number of World Cups and the concerned events. For the ranking, delete the bidding process, which is part of the ICF statutes, and reduce the scope of the authority defining definition to World Cup. So the board's in favour of those 4 clarifications, simplifications and amendments. So the voting should be open for our last principle.
Let's see if we can get the full complement on this one. Okay, we're close. You can close the voting, please.
Even this change passed with 88.2% in favor. And thank you, Danielle, for leading us so smoothly through such a complicated process. So, some housekeeping?
Just a couple of quick points. Can you please leave your translation devices on the table and unplug the headsets? And then the other point is tomorrow we will put on screen the roll call from 8:30. We start at 9, but for anyone that had any trouble with voting today, or with your emails, etc., please come a little bit earlier. Then we can start to make sure that the roll call happens quickly and smoothly for 9 o'clock. And then other than that, I think that's it. I'll leave you to close.
That's it. Thank you for your stamina today and for historic decisions. Then let's relax until tomorrow morning, 8:45, 9 o'clock. Congress will officially start. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye. I forgot one important information. Our host here, the Turkish Canoe Federation, is working with a travel agency called Tour. And this travel agency, together with one of our ICF premium partners, is organizing training camps for all our canoe disciplines here in Turkey. Close by, there are some hotels close to a river, and this agency offered, if there's interest, a sightseeing tour on Saturday afternoon. If someone is interested to join and watch all these opportunities here, he can register themselves on our information desk. And I can only recommend, please watch these really good conditions for reasonable prices here and use this opportunity to join this sightseeing trip. But now, thank you.